This country abolished its armed forces, and today we are going to find out why. The questions are: how did they get here? What are the benefits and dangers of this policy? And can a country exist in such a unique position? Let's start with despite its current lack of a standing military, the country of Costa Rica actually has had a tumultuous history that involved a lot of war and bloodshed. I mean, there's a reason why the country's flag has the color red on it, to symbolize the heroes who died defending their territory and its people. Under the Spanish Empire, the Spanish saw Costa Rica as a colony without a strategic advantage, and so, as a consequence of that, there were not a lot of armed forces stationed there. However, economic decisions made in Spain in the 19th century didn't sit well with the people of Costa Rica, which led to a cultural awakening that resulted in Spain losing popularity not just in Costa Rica but all across Central America. This unrest sparked various civil wars fought for independence from the Spanish Empire. The war against the Spanish was eventually won in 1821, but that didn't spell the end of bloodshed just yet. After the independence, the United Provinces of Central America was formed. In a few years, these new nations saw a host of regional conflicts, largely between Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. This caused a civil war which was hard fought by all sides. The war and conflict lasted for a significant amount of time, and it ended with Costa Rica finally declaring independence from the United Provinces of Central America. However, after all of that, the country still had more conflict to come. In the year 1850, an American lawyer named William Walker tried hard to annex the countries of Costa Rica and Nicaragua in the name of the United States. This resulted in the country fighting to drive away Walker's forces until 1856. So that took about 6 years when Walker Fort was burned to the ground by a Costa Rican named Juan Santamaria. Please subscribe. Let's jump forward to 1947 when the Rio Treaty, or TR by its Spanish acronym, was signed by Latin America and the United States. The Mutual Security Agreement created during the Cold War was an instrument invoked mainly against perceived communist threats. The Organization of American States was established a year later in Bogota with the purpose of increasing cooperation between the American states and strengthening their territorial integrity. In this geopolitical circumstance, the Costa Rican elites counted on these mechanisms to ensure their security vis-a-vis their neighbor, in particular their northern neighbor Nicaragua. As a matter of fact, the Organization of American States was called to mediate between the two countries in 1949, 1955, and during the Central American conflicts of the 1980s. Finally, here we are in 1949, when President José Figueres Ferrer took the proposal abolishing the military to the Constitutional Assembly, who approved it and drafted it into the Constitution. Since then, Costa Rica has not had a military. Instead, they have a special police force. Today, we can see the advantages and disadvantages of the decision. The first and the most obvious benefit is the savings. There are a lot of countries in the world that spend the majority of their funding on the military, and this can be costly. By abolishing the military, Costa Rica saved a lot of money which they could use to invest in other sectors of society. And that's exactly what they did. The money saved from removing the militaries was then used for the education, social security, and healthcare of the country's citizens. The result of this is political, economic, and social stability that is largely unseen in the region of Central America. The standard of living in Costa Rica has been steadily on the rise. In the 50s and 60s, the country saw a lot of large hospitals and schools that have given the country a more healthy and educated generation. In fact, they now have the second lowest infant mortality rate in the region and a literacy rate of 98%. Because the military spirit, as they call it, of the country was removed, they have seen more peace than any of their neighbors. In fact, the country has not seen another civil war since 1948, while the country's neighbors have been in various civil conflicts throughout the same time period. The prominent issue with the abolition of a country's military is a lack of defense. Costa Rica has no army. They are without reliable defenses. The country's police force has been serving as its main defense unit for decades now, monitoring the border, taking control of drug trafficking issues, and helping enforce the law. Costa Rica is a safe country because of its internal civil force, but if it wasn't for their alliance with the United States, the survival rate of the country would be debatable. And as such, Costa Rica is only as safe as their alliance with the United States. In conclusion, by making this decision, they have dodged the risk of civil wars and coups, something that is a constant struggle in South America, and they have more funds investing in social programs. On the other hand, this policy is only possible because of their alliance with the United States, and if something were to happen with that, there would be a imminent danger. It looks unlikely that the Rio Pact will be abandoned, so I think that the alliance will continue, and this policy can remain the same without problems. Thank you for watching, please subscribe.